And welcome inside the Extra Point here on WEGL 911 and WEGLFM.com. Hello, everybody. Jared Dillard, your handsome, beautiful, stunning, talented, award winning host. And joining me, for wherever that may be, is Alex Houston and Davis Carroll. Davis, we'll start with you first. How you doing today? Up. I can't complain. Uh, Alex, how about you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a little tired, but other than that, pretty good weekend. And yesterday was pretty good as well, so we're doing all right.
Come on, guys. I need more energy. Come on. Come on. We had a lot of fun on Saturday, and I know we're going to talk about that, but come on. How you guys really doing?
I got a sore throat, so who knows? We'll find out in a few days.
I got two tests this week, so
Oh, well, if it makes you feel better, I don't have anything.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. But we do have this show this morning. On the docket for today, we're finally getting to the World Series because it's been since last Monday that we even discussed it. And tonight, the Dodgers look to win it all as they are 3-2 on the TB Rays. Speaking of TB, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are surging in the NFC South. We'll have some update on the NFL and breaking down Monday Night Football, which was pretty much a slaughterhouse last night for the Bears. On top of that, we are going to catch up with some college football news, especially Auburn's win over Ole Miss. Take it for how you will, as they get ready for LSU in the upcoming week. So let's just go ahead and get started with the show. As first, let's break down that Auburn win versus LSU. It was
miss.
that's what I meant. Maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's
No,
a
it's
sign. You don't know that. Look, let's break down the win over Ole Miss. 35-28 off of a Seth Williams back shoulder catch, juke move, run to the end zone, curtain call. Kinda. Ole Miss drove down the field and almost scored. But, threw an interception, which was very elegant and Hollywood-esque for Ole Miss at the end of the game.
Matt Corral had possibly the worst Hail Mary attempt I've ever seen.
Look, you can't throw a Hail Mary unless you're in front of the line of scrimmage. Everybody knows this.
And even then, it didn't even reach the end zone.
Look,
That
football's
was
hard.
so pathetically awful.
Football's hard. Okay. You
But
know.
it's not that hard.
You know what the. No, I think it's a different game I'm thinking about. But uh, Auburn got out of there. They didn't give. They didn't do it without giving people heart attacks. Because I definitely at one point thought we were gonna lose that game, but cooler heads did prevail, and Auburn did win 35-28. Kind of break down what you saw of that game, and did it get better? I guess is the word I'm looking for. Did it get better for Auburn?
Define get better.
Do you feel better about this team?
No. I mean, I'm just being honest. That's a game they should have won. That's a game they were supposed to win. So now that they won, am I supposed to be like, oh, this is a good omen?
Did they look better at least?
They looked better against the worst defense in college football. I mean, every te every team has scored a lot on that team. So, I mean, did they look better because they refused to throw the ball 48 times? Sure. That's a positive. They actually
They
started running the football,
they did let Tank run the ball.
which, it's about time, isn't it? The last two games he got 100 yards in spite of the coaching staff calling plays, and now he actually got 100 yards because they gave him the carries to get to it. So there's that.
Davis, what about you? What is your biggest takeaway from Auburn's win against Ole Miss?
But yeah, they played better, of course, but they still almost lost. And near the end there, the Ole Miss receiver had that post route that he dropped, which would have been surefire touchdown right there near the end. So I mean, Auburn looked better because Alex said they didn't pass as much, but it's still their defense is struggling. It's just not clicking for them. I'm not sure if it's gonna really fall into place before the end of the season.
In fairness, that Ole Miss offense has given every defense issues except against Arkansas, and that was more because Matt Corral decided to throw it to the other team rather than Arkansas scheming to stop them. So the Ole Miss offense has given everybody issues. And Auburn
And we're
is
no exceptions to the thing. We're known for our stout defense, and we got torn up.
we has put this obviously is not the same defense as the
I
last.
know. That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's not like a sound the alarm thing. I think they're just average now.
I'm just saying we're not. Defense isn't going to save us this year.
It won't win us games, but it won't lose them either. I don't
Are
think.
you sure about that though? Because it almost did.
No, Davis. What I
My dog
mean,
is causing a havoc in the background. I'm sorry.
Now, what are you doing?
what I
Oh
mean is,
no, he's knocking
Davis.
things over.
Here's what I mean is like look at the Ole Miss Alabama game earlier this year where Ole Miss scored 48, but they still lost 63 to 48 because of their defense. I mean like that. Like the defense won't hold a team to under 10 and win us a game like 2016 when Daniel Carlson had to kick 6 field goals to win a game.
And
But
get Les Miles fired.
of course, but it won't lose Auburn any games like Ole Miss's defense against Alabama. If Auburn scores 50, they should win most of the games they play, if not all of them.
You know what the
Problem
crazy?
is Auburn.
You know what the crazy part is? We're halfway through the season already.
Yep.
That's crazy to think about. And the next games are LSU, Mississippi State, Auburn, and then 2 top 10 games to finish out the season in Alabama and Texas A&M. A&M is at number 8. Don't blink. They're there. And that could be a game that decides A&M's fate when it comes to the college football playoffs if they run the table. They need
I
that.
hope Ain't gets in the playoff.
You know what? I kind of do too, because I kind of want to see what a top 10 or top 4 A&M does, which
No,
I can't
Jared,
imagine
that's
it ends.
not.
I can't imagine it ends well, but
That's not. Yeah, I was about to say that's not. It's not about me wanting to see. It's about what they're gonna do. It's about me knowing what they're gonna do and you wanting to watch that because A&M's gonna get in the playoff and lose by 60 to Bama, and it's gonna be hilarious.
if there's a year that A&M gets to the playoffs and wins it all, it's
Especially because
this year.
Desmond Howard's gonna go on game day and start cackling, and he's picking A&M, and then he's gonna like, oh wait, he's wrong again. But then again, he's never not been wrong. So there's that.
Auburn plays LSU this Saturday on Halloween. It is a CBS game. LSU is currently opening up as a 3-point favorite, which honestly, let's just now
Auburn
jump.
opened as one favorite.
I have LSU 3-point favorite.
Well, it swung back then.
That's a big swing.
Yeah.
I didn't see Auburn open up as a favorite. That's kind of interesting, but also kind of scary at the same time that it swung that fast. It's only been a couple of days.
I mean,
Everybody's taking Auburn.
I think the crazy part is, did we watch the same game? Let's get to the rest of the SEC. Did we watch the same LSU South Carolina game? I kind of feel
No.
like LSU 3 points is. I'm gonna be fair. I feel like it's kind of low.
yeah, but South Carolina's offense is terrible this year. They are.
Jared, I think Zal's in your clothes again.
He's eating my SEC Network shirt.
That's tough.
I'm gonna throw something at him. Where's that? I got a stuffed animal. I'm gonna throw it at him if he starts doing it again.
Good plan. But really, South Carolina's offense is not very good. They only scored against Auburn because Auburn kept turning the ball over and giving them opportunities. So there's that. That's the only time they scored above 30, except when they played Vanderbilt. Their offense is not good, and LSU's offense is good. And I would say that South Carolina's defense is not great. Again, it was a bunch of bad turnovers by Auburn and bad performance in the red zone that held them to 22 points. But when they go against LSU, and LSU does what LSU does, not to mention Miles
With the
Brennan.
backup quarterback, remind you,
Yeah, what happened to Miles Brennan?
he was hurt.
Oh, I don't know how I missed that.
That's why a lot of people picked South Carolina to win that game was because Miles Brennan was hurt. And it was like, ooh, South Carolina just got that big win against Auburn. LSU, they've been struggling. They got a backup quarterback in.
That's
But
a
then
second decade.
and then LSU. I think a majority of people picked South Carolina to win that game. See, now it's time to go to the extra point roadblock Saturday uh, pick 'em because I'll be able to break that down for you. Which, gosh, Alex, I am so sorry about how that ended for you.
Oh, you talking about the pick'em?
Yeah,
I mean, it
it
could
was
be worse.
it was
I could have
almost
actually
poetic
gotten like last
justice.
last place, like you said on the show. But then again, I once again proved that I'm the best. So can
Uh,
we add those pick'em? Can we add those pick'em numbers to our pick'em standings?
what the roadblock Saturday?
Yeah.
No,
Why not?
because I gotta have the exact number of games. We only do 10 a week,
Oh,
and obviously that would put you at least in second place.
exactly.
Yeah,
Which is why I
right.
want to
Yeah,
add it.
no. The our pickup standings are updated, and I'll give them to you right now. In first place is yours truly at 45 and 25. Second is Davis at 42 and 28. Third is Jacob at 41 and 29. Tied at fourth is Bay Marks and Alex at 40 and 30. And at six is Jack at 39 and 31. You're only 5 games back, so it's not too bad.
Jeez, another bad NFL pick'em for me last week. Jeez.
Yeah, Alex, I don't know what happened to you in NFL Pick'em, but
Oh, these
man,
fuckheads.
like to be honest, like NFL's hard to pick right now. I'm not gonna lie.
I
I
just
ha-
remember picking better.
I haven't added in the game from last night in, but oh yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough couple of weeks. Uh, as we go into kind of the breakdown of um the Roadblock Saturday Pick'em, uh, probably kind of the weirdest things. There was one person that picked Tennessee. 4.2% picked Tennessee against
What the
Alabama.
heck was this gonna say?
Uh, let's see. Okay, here we go. 62.5% of people picked South Carolina to beat LSU.
I mean,
And
LSU's
I won't lie. I was one of them. 'Cause I really did think that South Carolina would kind of upend them with the backup quarterback in.
okay. So, Jared, you should, because of that, immediately drop yourself 2 games on the college football pick'em because that's ridiculous. Why would you pick South Carolina?
Look, because a backup quarterback thing, that's a thing. If you pick South Carolina to beat LSU straight up, that's one thing. If you pick them to beat them because of backup quarterback, I feel like you can give leeway on that.
No, it's still bad.
I don't know. I mean, after they beat us, I think anything's possible.
Wait, Alex, who got a better pick 'em thing in the end?
Yeah, who won
Exactly.
by a tiebreaker?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. A 1 point tiebreaker. All you had to do was just pick a closer score, and that would have been it, Alex. That's all you had to do. But your 40-32 potential scoreagami did not do any wonders.
Honestly, it seemed likely to me.
Honestly, yeah, it was getting there. Let's see if there are any other upsets on this roadblock pick'em. Uh, Davis, your friend was very close to winning.
Who's his friend?
Jacob.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
he was very close at the end. Then he got tripped up by a couple of scores.
So if nobody beat any of us, does that mean they just don't win?
No, so the way it kind of broke down was there were three different categories. There was grand prize, student media, and overall. So in the overall section, you saw me and you and Caleb Jones. Like overall, this is how everybody who was in did. Okay. Then there was student media, which we get bragging rights over because I think what the top four of us beat everybody in the Plainsman and Eagle Eye. So that means we're pretty good at pick'em. We know what we're talking about. So Weagle champions. Congratulations, everybody. And then the other one's the grand prize one. So that takes out everybody in student media. So me, Alex, it took out Delaney, Andy, they took out the Plainsman guys, they took out all that. And
Wait,
that was
I have a
that was just students. Yes,
So
Davis.
when you made the tweet about all of our standings, why wasn't I on there? Because I filled out a form. Was my
Davis.
pick 'em that bad?
You went. Let's see if I can
Oh my
find.
God.
Let
I'm
me
I
see if
literally
can
just
find
did it standing there. I just did it real quick because I was.
So did
late
I,
on.
Davis.
Let's
I'm
see.
still second in standings. So
David, what's your email again? I'm just gonna look at the email section.
DB
It's like,
Carroll
did you
or
use DP
DBC.
Carroll? Oh,
It was,
there
I
it
can't
is.
remember.
You got 22 right. So that's 22 out of how many? 42.
Woo!
You went 22 and 20.
Wait,
Oh,
Alex. Who has a better pick? Who has a better standings overall?
Davis, you know what's funny is if the roles were reversed, you would be like, "Oh, but it doesn't matter because I did better in this pick'em challenge." It doesn't matter. Your
No, it
argument,
would not. If the roles were reversed, it would not because even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes, Alex, and you're
That's
that blind
true.
squirrel.
Like an ice age. He wasn't
You are currently
blind.
last in Pick'em, and you will remain last.
I am not last in pick'em.
He's tied for next to last.
Oh,
There's
excuse
a
me.
difference.
You're basically
Exactly.
last.
So
Who's
shut up.
second and who's first? That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm first, if you didn't know.
And I'm second. Zhao could do better than you.
I'm also not tied
Uh,
for last. I'm tied for second to last. So
We
shut
already
up.
we already went over that, brother.
yeah, brother. Hey, but that's okay. You're only 5 games back. That's not too bad. That's in the world of college football. That's easy to make up. If
You're
Problem is,
two games
you
back
got
from
picked
me.
upsets.
I need to I need to pick Washington when Washington's gonna win. Like
Yeah.
like I should have picked them this week.
Did I?
Nobody else.
Yeah, I think I picked the Cowboys too. But
I was about to say,
we'll
nobody
get into that.
believe.
We'll get into that in a second. Uh, is there anything else in the SEC that we want to go over?
I mean, I always think it's funny how there's always hype for the Tennessee game and it never materializes into anything.
Yeah,
Tennessee's
that
worst
was pretty bad.
rivalry in college football without question.
It was. Ooh, that was a big oof. There's only 4 SEC games last week.
Yeah, there's only
Uh,
4 this week.
yeah,
Wait, no, there's
that was
6
a
this
big
week. My
oof.
bad. Never mind.
Missouri beat Kentucky, which I think surprised me. 'Cause I'm pretty sure I picked Kentucky.
I did pick
Um,
Kentucky.
Alabama just throttled Tennessee. LSU got South Carolina. This week, Georgia, Kentucky, Auburn, LSU, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Miss State, A&M, Arkansas, and Florida, Missouri. Just so you
Every
know,
single one of these games is obvious except for the Auburn LSU game.
yeah, the Auburn LSU game's the only game that's single digit spread.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
mean,
Everybody else is. Everybody else, if the other team wins, that is a upset of epic proportions.
you know what's crazy is like I love seeing the over unders for like the game like Alabama Mississippi State because you know Bama's going to score like 56 on their own because the over under is 63.5.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty. And all the ranked teams except Georgia are playing at home. Georgia's going on the road to Kentucky, which it's a noon kickoff Eastern time for Georgia against Kentucky. So maybe some Kentucky bluegrass magic happens. I don't know, but
No.
I needed that Kentucky win against Missouri to feel pretty good about that, and I don't. Sorry,
Yeah, I was about to say if they had won that game, and we're heading
I
in at
I
three
feel a
and
little bit
two,
better.
maybe.
What
Maybe.
about Missouri, who's 2-2, has gotten a win over LSU? They beat Kentucky, going on the road against a Florida team that's coming back from COVID. Could
Well,
that?
since the swamp won't be packed, I mean, does Dan Mullen even stand a chance?
I
Because
don't know, man.
let me
Dan
be clear
Mullen's
on
shaking in his boots.
let me be clear on something. If Florida loses, I will officially not care about the result of this season or the pick'em because that will be the highlight for the year. If Florida finds a way to lose to Missouri in their first game back.
And they're on the SEC alternate channel, which means nobody's gonna be able to see it when it
Oh,
happens.
bro. No, I want to see Missouri drop 60 on them on center stage.
If there's an upset in the SEC, that's the game to watch because that's
Missouri's playing pretty good since like they had that awful loss to Tennessee 35-12 and they didn't play bad against Bama but 30-19. But since then they're in a 2-game win streak against two teams they shouldn't have beaten. They should be 0-4 really.
yeah.
So and their offense is decent. They put up some points on LSU, which again, Florida's defense is not that much better than LSU's. Let's just be real. I don't think it's that much better at all. So you got that. I mean, if any team is going to upset Florida the rest of the way, it will be probably this team. I really think so. I don't know.
Let's talk about the rest of college football. As hey, the Big Ten's back, and they definitely have some fireworks. let's go ahead and get the big one out of the way. And I know on
Ohio
Saturday,
State beat Nebraska.
yeah, I wish. I know on Saturday, we talked about what's our, most likely upsets or games to watch for an upset. And I said, hey, watch out for this Indiana team against Penn State because that one, you got to circle it.
You also
And
said
lo and
Pitt.
behold, yeah, we don't talk about that part. Pitt let me down. Pitt, rest in peace. It was good while it lasted. But, what was the final score of that Pitt game? Like 45-3?
45-3. Notre Dame looked the best they've looked all year, really.
Alex was talking some major ish after that when you picked Pitt.
Yeah, I picked Pitt, but I also picked Indiana. So I redeemed myself.
Perhaps you
But
did.
then I did pick Iowa State, so I kind of fell backwards
That game
again.
was close. I mean, and that was about as good. It's not like they got slaughtered. It's a close game against a good Oklahoma State team that has been a lot better than they've been previous years. So there ain't no shame in that pick.
I am officially adopting Indiana as one of my teams.
Honestly, I was about to start a dynasty on NCAA 14 because of them. Because dang, that game got me hype. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the fact that James Franklin was freaking out on the sideline after he just screwed up and gave Indiana chance after chance after chance. I mean, that game was in Penn State's hands on multiple occasions. You got a chance to just run the clock out, and then the running back runs right to the end, and I'm like, that's exactly what Indiana needed. That was it. And then Indiana scores, and you blitz on a quarterback draw, which is supposed to be it. You can't run a quarterback draw on a blitz. That's how that works, right? Like I've done it in Madden. It
I don't
don't work.
know. I haven't taken Algebra 2 with Trig, but apparently that's how that works.
Oh my god.
I
Um,
did. I didn't do well in that class.
and it
I didn't
worked.
either.
I took
And
stats.
and then Indiana does the kickoff, and they basically do an onside kick, which I sat there and I don't know about y'all, but I'm watching that game and I'm thinking, did they really just did did they ju- did they just do an onside kick?
It
And
worked.
then Penn State, yeah. And then Penn State's got 9 seconds left, can do one little out route to get more yardage for their field goal, and James Franklin's like, nope, we're gonna kick it with 8 seconds left. I mean, that game was handed to to Indiana by Penn State.
The great part is, the college football or game day, excuse me, is going to Happy Valley for Ohio State Penn State, which is still a big game. Don't get me wrong; it lost a little bit of its luster because of the Penn State loss, but it's still a big
Yeah.
game. And the funny thing is now, you talk about top 10 Texas A&M and top 10 Cincinnati. There's a number 17 Indiana running around the yard somewhere, and God only knows how that's going to end for
I
Indiana.
mean, just looking at their schedule right now, let's see.
It's not exactly easy.
They've got Rutgers, who is red hot.
Yeah, let's. Oh no, I may adopt. No, I
Following.
may adopt Rutgers too.
No, I think Michigan State's awful, really.
No, they are awful. But Rutgers, you want to know why Rutgers is good? Their quarterback wears number 0.
Oh, wait, really?
That's the key. Yes, it's the key.
Cool. Cool.
Don't
Um,
stay woke. Don't trip. Their quarterback wears number
so
0.
not Rutgers. Indiana's got Rutgers, then Michigan, then at Michigan State, then at Ohio State on November 21st. Their schedule does not get any easier.
Oh, it's not, and they'll probably lose to Michigan, beat Michigan State. Who we're talking about? Is it Rutgers or Indiana?
Indiana is at
Indiana.
Rutgers, at home versus Michigan State, at home versus Michigan, on the road versus Michigan State, on the road versus Ohio State.
They'll probably most likely beat Rutgers. They'll lose to Michigan, beat Michigan State, and lose to Ohio State.
People were talking about Nebraska having the toughest schedule in the Big Ten, but Indiana has probably the worst schedule of all the teams right now. I'm looking at it. I mean, really, when you've got road games at Camp Randall against Wisconsin and at the Shoe against Ohio State, I mean, really?
Speaking of Wisconsin, after the debut of their quarterback, he got COVID, and not only
Yeah,
that, but so did the third string quarterback.
that was about the most Wisconsin thing ever. Is you finally find a quarterback after having garbage quarterbacks since Russell Wilson, and now he's got COVID.
So Mertz, I mean, he went 20 for 21, 248, 5 touchdowns straight out of NCAA. And yeah, now he's out. And so their third string quarterback. God only knows what's happened to the other quarterback. He may have to isolate because the quarterback room and stuff like that.
Big
Was
Ten also mandates a 21-day quarantine after a positive test.
That was kind of one of the big things the Big Ten's doing differently from the other conferences is that 21-day kind of quarantine starting now. And in that 21 days, Wisconsin will play Nebraska, Purdue, and at the end of that 21-day period, Michigan. Now, I think he should be back by Michigan. I think he'll clear it by a couple of days, but still, that's still concerning that you have to play Michigan. But speaking of this Nebraska team, Wisconsin's a 4.5 point favorite on the road against Nebraska. We'll see how that changes throughout the week, but they will be without two of their quarterbacks. So golly, if there's any year where your offensive line better be good and you have a good running back for Wisconsin, it better be this year because you're gonna have to need it.
Yeah, I mean it's tough for Wisconsin really, but I mean it looks like they've got some good running back play. They had two running backs over 60 yards last week, and another with 36 yards. They've got a decent group there, but still, you'd like to have that quarterback because they haven't had one in forever. They like to have one there. I mean, we talk about the SEC being a mess. The Big Ten is a mess because by the end of next week, we're looking at a variety of things going on. We're looking at Penn State potentially being out of the top 25 and in last place in the Big Ten. We're looking at possibly Indiana or Rutgers being tied for first place. Northwestern could be in first place.
And don't blink, but Liberty may be ranked next week
That's exciting.
with Malik Willis at quarterback.
I mean, Hugh Freeze knows what he's doing. I mean, clearly, because that team has looked very, very good.
Now, I will say this to be fair to what is Liberty? Is Liberty independent?
Yes.
I'm trying to quickly find them on here.
I want to say they're independent.
I think they are. Yes. Taking a look at Liberty's schedule, they're 6-0. They got Virginia Tech, Western Carolina, NC State, UMass, and they end the season against Coastal Carolina.
They don't have UMass.
Yes, they do. I'm looking at it right now. UMass is on that schedule.
I'm looking on their schedule and it's not here.
Unless UMass is not playing this year, but they're
UMass
definitely
isn't playing this year.
UMass is 0-1. So they
No,
played
remember,
somebody.
remember UMass's coach was like, "Yeah, we're not playing."
They
They
played
played
they played Georgia Southern this past week.
What the heck?
UMass is risen from the grave.
They did
And
not play Georgia Southern this past week. They played Georgia Southern 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you know what I meant. You know my days are off. They got 3 games on their schedule. They got number 19 Marshall in like a month. They have a
All I
month
know is
off.
If we get
I think
undefeated,
UMass is just playing to raise money at this point. It's like a charity. They're flying your room or something.
yes,
Okay, I thought you were just going crazy, but
it's annoying because it won't land.
yeah, no, we're looking at a Liberty team that can run the table. They won't get into the top. I don't. They probably won't even sniff the top 10. But
If we get undefeated Liberty versus undefeated Coastal Carolina at the end of the season, we have to lose one of those teams. I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna be very.
I mean, you may want to bet on Coastal Carolina because they probably have the better chance at the ranking side, right? If you want to, if you want a team that has a history of getting into an improbable championship game and winning, Coastal Carolina's your team.
I mean, looking at it right now, I mean, if Cincinnati wins out, they very likely will be in the top 4.
Here's hoping, right? They
Because
did.
the only
They did take down SMU.
standing in front of them is 2 SEC teams, so one of those teams is going to get knocked out by the other. Well, as a matter of fact, Georgia's already lost once, so I mean, Georgia loses a second time, they will go behind them. Then you've got Notre Dame and Clemson.
You say that, but I'm not really sure that they would go behind them. I don't know.
They should.
It would.
Especially
It would depend on a lot of things.
they're gonna either lose to Florida or they're gonna lose to Alabama again.
Fair. But
And I think
for Cincinnati, they have Memphis, Houston, East Carolina, UCF, Temple, and Tulsa left on their schedule. So no ranked opponents. You just gotta
Cincinnati
hope
has looked very
for
good so far, though.
you just gotta hope for a little bit of chaos up in front of you.
I mean, they just
Um,
they just destroyed SMU.
they did.
So that's potential, but if this fly doesn't land so I can hit it, I'm gonna lose it.
Davis, what's your takeaway from college football since you've been quiet for the last 10 minutes?
You know, uh,
Take some Benadryl.
I'm about to actually give me a second. I'm gonna see if I have any. Y'all talk. Y'all covered it very well. I need to clear my nose.
We've been talking for 20 minutes. You couldn't have done it then.
Alex, what'd you say to me?
I said we've been talking for 20 minutes. You couldn't have done it then. Wow,
He's just gonna leave.
wow, ladies and gentlemen,
That's fair.
on the extra point, Davis Carroll, worst
How
pickup player ever.
Still hear you. I can still hear you.
I know you can still hear us.
But
Nails, we have to stand up the whole show. That's what I'm about to do. I'm gonna stand up.
he's gonna stand up. Oh no! Look what you did, Alex. Have we covered everything in college football?
Let me see. Did
I-
North Carolina actually win? Oh, they did. Good for them.
Y'all are my refrigerator.
Good.
Okay, like Kansas State really had to lose to Arkansas State at the beginning of the year. What the heck? They could be
I don't have
undefeated.
any Benadryl, Jared. I'll have Advil.
Does that help with stuffy noses?
I don't think so.
You need some
Or I
more
guess I have
medication.
technically have acetaminophen.
Stop
So
using
I'm
big
looking at
words
the
on me.
numbers right now, Jared, and Indiana jumped 28 spots.
Heck yeah, they did.
Gotta be a record, right?
Uh, yeah, no, it is. I was thinking of college basketball when it was Michigan that jumped from unranked to like 3 to unranked again.
Yeah, no, that
That was crazy.
that was good.
That was a preview of 2020, but nobody knew. Nobody knew. The only ranked versus ranked matchup this upcoming week is Penn State and Ohio State. Other than that, I mean, there are some potential upsets on here, but
There's always potential upsets.
I mean, go ahead and put. I would say, if we're being honest, you got to put Florida, uh, Kansas State, Coastal Carolina, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Ohio State on early upset alert.
I don't think Ohio State's. I think Penn State is bad.
I think, yeah, no, you're right. Penn State's not as good as it used to be, but we do know that Penn State Ohio State matchup every year is bonkers, so you never know what's going to happen.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
So early upset alert, even though I think Ohio State's going to run away with that by plus 20 points. Just go ahead and just know that that game can be weird. Anything else on college football before we head out on college football?
Nothing here.
I'm trying to look at other pick'em records. Jacob got 24 wins. Andy got 26, so we definitely beat up on Andy a good bit. I mean, Alex and I were the only two people above 30.
A blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes.
And I think Caleb was I forget what number Caleb had, but he was like 4th overall. But I would say we did a pretty Caleb got 28.
Good job. I hope they invite us back to that next time. That was fun.
Yes, this time will be more robust. Okay, we're gonna have a lot more things.
I was about to
Okay.
say, yeah, really. I think this was very much a sort of trial and error edition. You know what I'm saying?
Especially because we didn't know where Jacob was until he showed up.
Also that. But hey, I mean, we want to run it back, so.
We are gonna run it back. Davis, where are you at now?
No, I'm sitting on my bed.
Oh, okay. I don't know where
Just
you
gonna
were
take
at.
I'm just gonna take a tour of my apartment. I'm gonna move around every few minutes.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right, it is for college football. That was a good 35-minute segment on college football. Let's head over. I guess we can go MLB. Let's quick do college basketball, MLB, and then we'll head over to the NFL to wrap up the show. College basketball. If you haven't heard the news from yesterday, ESPN has canceled plans for tournaments down in the worldwide Disney Resort Sports thing. Yeah, I should probably know that considering my check comes from there. But news coming in late last night is that I believe Fort Myer is emerging as a spot for Auburn Gonzaga. So Auburn Gonzaga is supposed to square off in one of these tournaments. It got postponed because of ESPN just not having they couldn't come to an agreement on it, and now these other spots are trying to pick up these games that way they can play them. So Auburn's schedule, we just don't know what it looks like right now. We know they're supposed to play Gonzaga. We know they're supposed to play Baylor. That's pretty much it, because they haven't even released the SEC schedule as far as I know. And believe me, the moment we find out, I will let you guys know. But even us who are pretty well connected with Auburn basketball, it's still, we don't know. Alex, I have to assume there's no fly in there. You're just going crazy.
No, there is.
I don't think there is.
Well, then kill it.
I'm trying.
I don't think there is.
Is that a folder named Music?
Yep.
Is that for music appreciation?
Yep.
You poor sucker. You're gonna swing that and all your papers are gonna fly out and I'm gonna laugh.
Almost got it.
Did you get it? I thought I heard a smack.
Use your hand, dude, not the folder.
Yeah, Mr.
I
Miyagi.
tried. I'm trying to maximum surface area.
I used to be able to pluck flies out the air with my cold bare hands.
That's what my mom does,
Well,
basically.
land.
She's a beast at it.
Anyway. Oh.
But yes, Auburn basketball. When will they play? Nobody knows. But
Maybe Bruce does. I feel like Bruce might know.
I mean, I'm all for a Alabama tournament between Auburn, Alabama, Troy, UAB.
You mean just so we
South
can...
Alabama too?
It depends on how many Alabama teams you want to get in there, right? Because
South Alabama's actually decent at basketball.
eventually
so.
you gotta have a cutoff, right?
South Alabama would have made the NCAA tournament last year. They hadn't canceled it.
Like, okay, you have Auburn, Alabama, and UAB. You gotta have those three, right? And then we have to have discussions about like Troy, because I have no idea what Troy basketball looks like. I'm gonna be honest, they're probably not good. South Alabama's a team. You have 5. Who else would you get from South Alabama? I mean, I don't want to start throwing in like North Alabama and stuff like that, because
South Alabama.
I mean, you got South Alabama.
Spring Hill.
All right, calm down. Talking about big schools here.
Hey, you know Spring Hill was the first team to ever play Alabama in football. So,
did they win?
Yes, actually.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure they did.
Maybe we get them in there.
Get them back into the SEC.
But I would think a nice little Alabama, not bubble per se, because they're kind of already in a bubble. But
Are there any other good teams in Alabama besides the ones we just named?
No, not really. I mean, North Alabama has a team, but I don't know if they're good.
There's like Alabama Huntsville and all that. But
you can bring in UAH. You can bring in Alabama State, right? But
AUM.
You can bring in
Auburn University Montgomery.
Let's not. But I don't.
You bring in Montgomery, the one like the Yellow Jackets in Montgomery, where they are. They have the Bumblebees. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
You know the school in Montgomery.
Alabama State.
Is it Alabama State?
The one I just said, who are definitely
Hornets.
Hornets.
I get so offended, man. I didn't know.
Who are definitely Hornets and not Bumblebees.
No, they have the dancers, the Bumblebees.
Oh, yeah, they do. But
that's why I said they're like the Hornets, but they also have the Bumblebees.
Guys, please, can we actually just talk about actual sports rather than this?
Hey.
Alex, you were having fun naming kids' names last week. Don't act like you weren't.
No, Davis, you yelling about this team that they're that team. Then no, wait, they're another team, and you guys.
Alex wants to get like that now.
I just
Alabama tournament with all those teams sounds pretty fun. That's it. That's
I
done.
agree. I agree. It's also a potential avenue for Auburn to start 4-0. So there's that.
And we could rotate it between who hosts it, which I think it'll be fair that only Alabama, Auburn, and UAB can host it, or it just all stays at UAB at Legacy.
I mean, South Alabama has a good arena.
All right,
Sure, just-
we're not doing that. Sorry,
but they do have a good arena actually.
no, we're not doing that. The
So,
big money teams talk. That's how this works.
all right, of course. Well,
You know
I
that.
mean, a year ago Auburn wasn't a big money team, so
Hey, that
I
changed.
mean,
That changed. Okay.
of course it did. And definitely,
Big money. Big money.
I agree.
But we'll see what happens with Auburn's early schedule. Gonzaga and Baylor will still be played. At least Baylor is at Baylor's place. We do know that, so
Yeah.
that shouldn't be in jeopardy. But the Gonzaga game, which Auburn's early OOC conference, doesn't look easy. Which I guess is a good thing for a young team, right? That you go ahead and
Yeah. I
play
mean,
these tough teams.
I think it's important to stress at this moment that this year will very likely be a building year with none of these players declaring for the draft. I think that's a likely possibility unless some of them blow up and have an amazing season. So, very much, not as I would say, don't put nearly as much pressure on this team as, say, maybe, 2 years ago or last year because most of these guys, if not all of them, are going to be back next year.
Alex, give it to me straight. Does that mean we're gonna be middle of the pack this year?
No, I'm just saying don't be so frustrated if Auburn goes in as like an 8th seed in the NCAA tournament.
That's fine.
Like again, it really is not so much like this team. That's just that again, they're building everything from the ground up. Like we thought the year before when they lost, Jared and Bryce and Schumann, all those guys was difficult. This year they lost even more. They have no seniors on this team.
Which is a good and bad thing, right?
No, it is. And again, it's a very good thing because I think no matter what, I think the following year, not this upcoming season, but the next season, I think they will be phenomenal. I really do. I'm just saying that this year, and again, last year's team was better than I expected them to be, so the same thing can apply. I just think that, it's important to err on the side of caution because I think with the way Auburn basketball has had this meteoric rise, fans have not, adjusted the fact they're not all going to be Final Four run teams. I know last year there was a lot of frustration about some of the games they lost, which there should have been because there were some bad games they shouldn't have lost, but still. I think
Yeah. Yesterday I was looking at the Auburn schedule from last year and I was like, man, we lost a lot more games than I thought we did.
yeah. It's cause the games that counted, LSU and Kentucky and all those, they won.
I think our fans are getting spoiled.
You know what? You're not wrong about that.
And the moment, you know how Alabama fans are when they lost to Auburn, they were like, fire Saban, fire Saban. If we have a mediocre season this year, there's gonna be fans calling to fire Bruce, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we're terrible now," even though, as you just said,
If I see someone call for the firing of Bruce,
someone's going to, because
I don't know what
if
I'm-
Alabama fans can say to fire Saban after what? How long has he been coaching there?
Oh, what?
13
08,
years.
right?
13 years of top of the pack, best football in the nation. Most of the years, and then one time they lose, they're like, "Oh, we got to fire him." Like genuinely
there was-
thinking that.
There was a fire save petition after the Iron Bowl last year.
That's what I'm
Wasn't
saying. That's what I'm referring to. And those
Yeah.
are people being actually being serious. Some weren't, but a lot were.
It's kind of crazy that Saban's been there for only 13 years. It seems like it's a lot longer than that.
it? He's been good for the entirety of it.
That's fair.
But yeah, I think if Auburn isn't that good this year, or as good, people are going to call for the firing of Bruce, and they're going to
Hey.
be stupid, and I will laugh at them if they
As
do.
long as we get to the tournament, I'm okay.
Okay, what if we
it-
lose in like the second round or even the first round?
It depends how we lose, right? Either way, I'm not gonna be upset.
I'm not either. I'm
but-
not either. But I'm saying like people are going to be like, "Oh, our team's actually we're back to being terrible. We only had 2 good years. We're a
No.
fluke."
The fact that Auburn's gonna go to, what I mean, I don't know when the last time Auburn's been to 3 straight NCAA tournament game, 3 straight going on 4, right? 'Cause let's be honest, Auburn was gonna go either way last year, right? But this would be what, 4th straight?
But how
I'll-
many people watched a single game before we went to that first one?
Not a
didn't.
lot. Not a lot.
Not a lot is the point.
Look, I remember my first experience watching Auburn basketball was Auburn women's basketball. It was a year they went to like the Sweet 16, I believe, and they lost. And I was like, oh, shucks. But then I went to school, and then I finally started getting into Auburn basketball. And I think I told you guys this story, but look it up. Auburn versus Mercer. It was in December. It was Bruce's I believe second year, and I was actually at the announcer desk working, and T.J. Dunnins hit a game-winning three in the corner to beat Mercer on a buzzer beater, and I thought that was gonna be the highlight of Auburn basketball while I was there.
Little did you know, Jared. Little did you
Little did
know.
I know that team slowly but surely would build into a Final Four contender, and to what they are now, which is one of the top teams. Now, I will say this: Arizona did get a notice of allegations the other day. This is all stemming from that FBI bust. Okay, Arizona got, I believe, 9 notices of allegations that they're trying to keep hush hush, but it'll get out eventually. Um, Auburn's been kind of mum on it, right? We don't know what's gonna come out of that for Auburn. As far as I know, it's apparently not going to be that bad, but who knows? But know that those are still trickling out, so don't overreact like half of Twitter will when Auburn gets hit with something, right? So just know that that's out there. That does for college basketball. That'll be
Oh,
coming
wait,
up
hold up,
soon.
hold up. So this like investigation and stuff that they're gonna get hit with, is that still stemming from the Purifoy Wiley stuff that happened a decade ago, it feels like?
Pretty much.
That stuff
Look,
bothered me already, but of course, I mean,
justice moves slow. Okay.
no, like moves at a tortoise's pace. I remember they suspended Wiley and Purifoy for a year so they could investigate. Then they're like, all right, investigation done, you're suspended for another year. And I'm like, really?
Look,
Which then, the suspension forced Purifoy to start bricking every shot he threw up. So I mean, clearly that had a dramatic effect. But whatever.
and then on top of that, well, look at it this way. If you go to North Carolina, you don't have to take extra classes. That's what I got out of it. So, there is that.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the World Series. It's 3-2 Dodgers. We haven't talked about it since the day of the beginning of the World Series. Fast forward, it's 3-2. Um, I don't know how the gauntlet looks because I'm just not looking at the gauntlet until it's all said and done. But I do know that I picked Dodgers in 6. So I'm sitting pretty good right now. They can get this win. I'm sitting pretty good right now. But kind of the big highlights is the Dodgers and Rays trading back and forth. Obviously, we know how Game 4 ended. It ended on a wild play, 2 errors, Arozarena diving into home, a walk-off win, and then the next game, the Dodgers clamped down, Clayton Kershaw dealing. Kershaw looking pretty good, I gotta admit, through his first 2 starts in the World Series. If they go Game 7, you may see him again. Come out for maybe a couple of innings, but the Dodgers are looking to close it out tonight against the Rays as they had a day off. And man, I guess first let's start with this. What are the takeaways from the World Series so far?
I mean, these are 2 very evenly matched teams. I mean, this is, of course, they are the 2 number 1 seeds in the league, so that makes sense. But I mean, this has been a very good series between 2 very good teams, and there's always the whole "oh, you hate to see someone lose" nonsense people say at the end of games. But I mean, really, because both these teams are capable of winning the World Series. It's just that they run into each other. I mean, really, back and forth games. It's just been a good series, and 2 very good teams. But I think the Dodgers are just that much better.
Now there is a slight concern for the Dodgers. Blake Snell's on the mound for the Rays. That's one thing, but on the mound for the Dodgers is Tony Gonsolin, and you know he's played in 3 games this postseason. He started 2. He's only went 7 2/3 innings. So he doesn't have a lot of innings pitched in 3 games.
Was he the one that allowed the error from game 4, game 5? Was
Uh,
that someone else? Was that Gonzalez maybe?
are you talking about he allowed the?
He allowed the 2 game winning runs to come in when they had the error at the plate.
I don't believe so because he started last Wednesday,
Okay, okay.
and he only went 1 1/3 before he got pulled. So
Oh yeah, it's someone totally different. Let me
yeah,
look
he didn't
look
have a
at their
great
bullpen.
outing. He did not have a great outing for whatever reason it may be, but he is starting tonight for the Dodgers. But the Dodgers, as we know, yeah, you can score 5 runs against the Dodgers, but you got to be careful because the Dodgers team can easily score 10 or more if you let them. As Braves fans found out pretty quickly. Mookie Betts, that whole squad, Max Muncy, who had a bomb of a shot in the last game that just watched that thing go. Corey Seager. I mean, this is a stacked team from top to bottom, full of hitters. Not that the Rays aren't, right? Or we already know the story of Randy Arozarena and kind of how he's gotten where he's gotten to. But this is a Dodgers team that, you know, felt cheated last year. They were cheated out of a World Series. They are on the brink of it again. They feel like they probably should have already won the World Series because of how Game 4 ended. Right? That they had it, they just let it go. I think they're ready to just shut this thing down and bring the World Series back to LA. So
Yeah, I feel like it kind of is their series to lose because the games the Rays have won have been like walk-offs, basically. The first one was that home run, right? Was that a home run or was that, I think that was just a base hit, a walk-off base hit, I guess you could say. And then the other one was a walk-off error. So technically, you could say that the Dodgers could have won in 4.
you know,
Or
expect
no,
from
no, no, they've won 3 games, right? Or how many games have they won?
who? The Rays?
The Rays only won 2. Never mind.
Yeah, this is
They're
Game
trying to tie it at
6.
3 tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rays got to win 2 in a row. But I don't know. I don't know, man.
I don't think you can.
They can win this game. They can win today. But tomorrow.
But the times they've won, they've come late in the game. They're not having leads the whole game,
Yeah, they're
like so
definitely
they can
playing
just
from
take a break
behind.
off.
They're definitely playing from behind most games and trying to catch up, which is never good. But the Dodgers are just that good of a team that you're always playing from behind. Uh, I've
But the
now
Rays have a
realized.
chance, I think.
I now realize that it's the championships for this year are coming down to just Tampa Bay and LA. I mean, you got the Lightning over in Florida. You had Lakers versus Heat. So it's just California versus Florida, it seems like, in a lot of these matchups. Uh, what does that mean for the NFL? I don't know. Tom Brady versus Oakland, I guess.
They're in
Well,
Las
no,
Vegas.
they're in Las Vegas. Oh, how did I forget about that? That's embarrassing.
Tom Brady
Oh.
versus Justin Herbert. That's
Uh,
not gonna happen.
I'm trying to feel. I'm trying to see how I would feel about that game. I don't know how I feel about that game. But
You do well about it.
let's do this. Davis, who wins Game 6 tonight between the Rays and the Dodgers?
I think the Rays will be able to pull it out.
Alex,
I think the Rays will win, but I think the Dodgers will win in 7.
I went Ray. I'm sorry. I went Dodgers in 6 on the pick 'em.
Uh,
I think I did too, but I'm gonna say the Rays for a better series.
I'll break from the norm. I'll go Dodgers win tonight. I think that they'll be motivated. I think they're gonna just what I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but I have a sneaking feeling that it will, is that this is gonna be one of those games that's over in like the 3rd inning. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if the Dodgers just come out and just score 10 runs in the 1st inning again? And it's like, well,
that's that.
I got to sit here for 3 more hours and watch the Dodgers get to the 9th inning. I don't think it's actually gonna happen, but that would be a horrible way to end a really good World Series. That the Dodgers just beat the Rays head in with a bat, which, yeah, exactly. That does it for World Series talk. Let's go over to the NFL, which we will finally wrap up the show. Man, You know, hold up. Yeah. Yeah, no, I won't even. The Cowboys don't even deserve Cowboys corner today. I don't know what happened. The Cowboys were dismantled in front of everybody, in front of America. And, yeah. No, that's all I can really say about that.
You talking about the Cowboys?
Yes, the team
That
I've been
was
talking about for the
hilarious.
last minute, the Cowboys.
That was hilarious. That's all I'm gonna say about that. That was absolutely hilarious. My brother, we have NFL Sunday Ticket, and only one person can stream it at a time. So Jackson's like, "Hey, can I get it this week? Because I've gotten it the last few weeks." I'm like, "Sure, I guess so." Even though he could go to my parents' house and watch it, I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And then he texts me at halftime. He's like, "I'm gonna give it back to you because you deserve to see the Cowboys get beat that badly." And I was like, got a little emotional there for a second. But then I started laughing at the pathetic performance from the Cowboys. I saw, Cole Holcomb destroy Ezekiel Elliott. That was funny. The fact that the Cowboys somehow could not stop Washington's offense, despite the fact that they have not scored over 20 points since December 1st of 2019. That was funny. I mean, it was honestly an embarrassment. And now Mike Nolan had to stop a Zoom call because he got hot sauce in his eye. So there's that. So the Cowboys defensive coordinator really knows what he's doing. Um,
Look, the Cowboys are
Pathetic.
struggling. They're struggling, okay. They're having a tough go at it. All right, it's been a tough road for those boys. And let's talk about that hit on Andy Dalton. How about that?
Yeah, that was not great.
That was not great at
Um,
all, actually.
Not great at all.
Hey,
Definitely wasn't happy to see that for a variety of reasons.
And then
Danucci
now,
came in and made some good throws, though.
What?
Danucci came in and made some good throws.
yeah,
Didn't really matter
Dinucci.
because the
Gotta get used
Cowboys
to
went all
that.
that way just to kick a field goal. So
Hey, but look on the bright side. Sunday night football, Cowboys Eagles.
Ugh. I'm technically rooting for the Cowboys on this one, but I know they're not going to win, so that's tough.
Carson Wentz has 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That's just
And Dallas has one quarterback and the worst defense on the planet.
hey, they'll have two. They'll get the practice squad guy.
This is the first time they didn't allow over 30 points, and that's because Washington got all the way to the 1 yard line and couldn't punch it in.
Hey, but Kyle Allen though
popped
MVP.
off.
He popped off.
Who's not the MVP of that game?
He looked good though. So don't act like
He did look better, but again, Dallas it's like Auburn against Ole Miss. Worst defense on the planet.
We knew Kyle Allen was good though, so it's okay.
Kyle
No,
Allen's about to go on a tear with a 2-game winning streak before he loses to the Lions.
He's
I
got
mean,
3 more games to win, brother.
Washington has a bye before they've got the Giants, Lions, Bengals, and Cowboys, all winnable games, but then they run into the Steelers. Ugh.
I like how you started the Steelers when after that they had the 49ers, Seahawks, Panthers, and Eagles.
They really needed to win that game last week against the Giants. They needed to win that game, and it's annoying that they didn't. But at the end of the day, I just at this point of the season want to see positive performances from guys who will be here next year, like Montez Sweat, who they traded up for to draft in the first round last year, was really good against Dallas and has been really good this year. That's a positive.
Hey, but Washington did get another win the other day. That's something.
Yeah,
When
I mean, and
not only did they win against the Cowboys, but Riverboat Ron, he's done with his chemo and he rang that
yes.
bell. So that's another dub.
Congrats to Ron.
Indeed. I mean, now they got that bye week. They got 2 weeks prepared for the Giants, while the Giants got to play the Bucks this weekend. Ouch. Ooh, Monday Night Football. That could be a good game. But actually, no, the Giants don't stand a chance. So there's that. I mean, the season is right there for the taking for them to get the division and then, lose by 40 in the wild card round. But hey.
But to kind of just wrap it up, what happened on Sunday, the Falcons accidentally scored a touchdown and they blew a lead again.
They,
Uh,
they they really find new ways to lose football games, don't they?
they really do.
It's
Baker
crazy.
Baker started out bad, but then got hot as they came back from behind to beat the Bengals. The Steelers and Titans almost had a snafu at the end. What?
But let's not forget Baker's played great, but he also tore Odell Beckham's ACL, so that's tough.
Well, we can't win them all. We
No,
can't
you
win them
can't.
all. The Steelers and Titans. This game was interesting because the Steelers got to a big lead. The Titans were coming back, and then the CBS feed died for like 30 seconds. And then I looked over to my dad and I told him, "Look what's gonna happen. Right, the feed goes down. Nobody knows what's going on. We're gonna come back, and the Steelers are up by 10 because the NFL wants them to win. That didn't happen, but it was
that's
close."
bold. That's bold.
The Saints beat the Panthers on what would have been a Joey Sly game-tying 65-yard field goal.
It
Davis,
was so close.
I want you to walk me through the emotions of watching the Panthers put out their field goal team for a 65-yard attempt.
You know, he went out there. I was like, I know he can kick it, but I don't think he can kick it this far. And I was like, I mean, it's probably those 65-yard kicks. They're either right on line but short, or they're wide,
60
wide, left.
Right, yeah.
So I was like, okay, he's probably gonna kick it wide because he does that sometimes. So like, he was ramping up and he kicked it, and it was straight. It was straight on. And I stood up. I was like, oh my god, he's about to make this. And then it went, and I couldn't tell if it went through or not. But when the refs did the no good, I sat back down and I was sad. Because
Yes.
if the Panthers hadn't taken that sack, he would have made that.
I mean, it might have grazed the bottom of the bar. Like that's
He
how
would
close
have
it
made
was.
it. He was like 2 yards short, I swear. That was like, oh my gosh.
and that would
Yeah,
have been
it was.
that would have been the longest kick in NFL history if he made it.
That was a heck of a kick. He gave it all out there. So that's,
That would have broke the Panthers record. It's 63 from Graham Gano.
Ugh, no.
Hey, Gano, but Panthers fall short against the Saints.
We played good that game though.
They did play good, and the Panthers. I know they're 3-4, but with an expanded playoffs, they're probably the best 3-4 team that I've seen out here. So
Let's go.
the Panthers are still chugging along. The Bills, they won ugly, but they won 18-10 versus the Jets. The Jets. I want you to guess how many total yards the Jets had in the second half.
Oh, they had 190 overall, so I'm gonna say it was like 40.
I want to get the exact number because I don't want to be wrong about this, but the Jets had, I believe, 2 yards in the second half.
No, they didn't.
Somebody double check me on that. I am almost 100% sure that they had. It was something dramatically short. Like, it was that bad.
All right. Getting an article on offense, miserable failure in second half. Okay.
It's either 2 or 20, but I remember 2 being in
Okay,
there.
so here it is. After a fast start, relatively, the Jets looked away. They had three fourth quarter drives resulted in -1 yard, 3 yards, and -10 yards. Yes, you read that right. 3 series, -8 yards. In the second half, the Jets totaled 4 yards of offense.
Boom! Oh my goodness, that's bad.
That is the worst I've ever seen.
4 yards of total offense.
That is NCAA 14 against the FCS generic team.
Well, put it this way. The Jets currently have more losses than they did total yards in the second half.
That is so bad. I'm kind of in awe of how bad that is, actually.
It's so bad, it's actually impressive, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
Not to mention, that was the closest I think the Jets will be to winning a game all year. I really don't think they stand a chance against anybody they play. Even the Patriots on Monday Night Football, that'll just be Cam's comeback game. I mean, really. Buffalo handed it to him with a Auburn 2016-esque performance.
I mean, and don't blink, but don't look at the next opponent because that can't end well. That
The
cannot
Chiefs
end well.
might score 70. The Chiefs might be the first NFL team to score 70 since I don't know who, but they might do it.
The Chiefs may actually make that team fold.
I mean, they just scored 43 on a good Denver Broncos defense. Denver's not a bad team on the defensive side of the ball, and wow.
All right, we're gonna start taking our bets here. The Jets' next games are Chiefs, Patriots, which we haven't talked about the Patriots yet. Chargers, Dolphins, Raiders, Seahawks, Rams, Browns, and then Patriots again. Where is a win on that schedule? Who falls to the Jets?
Okay. They will not lose. They will not beat the Raiders, Seahawks, and Chiefs. Those are all guarantees they will not win. They will not beat the Chargers. The best option is at home against the Dolphins or at home against the Patriots. Because the Patriots looked awful, and the Dolphins, I do not think Tua. I mean, so far this year, only one Tagovailoa has already played football, and he had the worst game of the season with
Yeah,
in
how did Maryland do? Did they win?
They lost 40-3 to Northwestern.
Oh no, the nerds are back.
Yeah, no, Jared, did you actually not see the score of that game?
You know, I had to look at all the scores in order to do the pick 'em, but I don't think I paid attention that much to what was going on.
Okay, so they lost 43-3 to Northwestern. To his brother, whose first name I cannot remember.
Khalil.
All right, Talia. He went 14 for 25 for 94 yards and 3 interceptions. He was benched.
Oh, that was a Matt Corral type performance. Okay.
Hey, hold up. He also had 3 rushing attempts for negative 16 yards. That brings his grand total yardage to
78
yards.
Oh, look, I can do math.
That makes 2 of us.
Wow.
And I'm the third.
That is just terrible. So yeah, that game is a game the Jets can lose or win, I mean, but even then they find ways to lose football games. So,
I mean, also a reminder that all the Bills' points came from field goals. They didn't score a touchdown. There was no touchdown in that game.
Yeah, their field goal kicker, who I think was he an undrafted free agent? He might have been. He had a great game. Good for him.
Either way, he ain't the best kicker in the league, though. I know who is.
Who is that, Jared?
He plays on my team.
Your team.
Former Georgia Bulldog, Rodrigo Blankenship.
Leading scorer in the NFL. Yeah, we know.
Code name Goggles. Leading scorer in the NFL. Yeah, he's the best. But, yeah, I don't know where another loss is. I don't know where another win is on the schedule. I would say the Patriots, but there's no way the Patriots play bad again. There's that had to be a fluke, right?
Not to mention, let's not forget, this is on Adam Gase, but Sam Darnold is having a horrible year so far.
Remember when you told me to close the trade for Sam Darnold? Get that mess out of here, yeah.
Well, okay, Adam Gase is part of the reason he's having a terrible year. So there's that.
Yes, Adam Gase. You hire him. He's codenamed the cleaner. You hire him to destroy your franchise and get a first-round pick and clean house. That way you hit the reset button.
I mean, they might go 0-16 for the first time ever for the Jets.
I mean, I'm here for it. Trevor Lawrence better either ask for a trade or just not go to the NFL because I am scared for that man's future.
Well, and Eli Manning. Remember Eli with the Chargers? He's like, yeah, it's not happening.
And, for the most part, I guess it worked out for Eli. He got 2 Super Bowl rings out of it.
Philip Rivers got nothing, is currently stuck with the Colts. So, worked out well for him. This week was chaos. Russell Wilson has his worst game of the year. Easily.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Let's keep going down the list. We talked about Washington and Dallas. Packers, Texans. I mean, it went about as well as you think it would. Texans. Aaron Rodgers is good. Texans 1-6. They're trash. They're going to be heading to a rebuild. Buccaneers just dismantling the Raiders. TB12 just doing his thing. Chiefs putting points on the Broncos 43-16. All right, 49ers Patriots 33-6. I believe this is Bill Belichick's worst loss in ever. I believe this is a bad loss for him. Cam Newton 9 for 15, 98 yards, 3 picks, 3 interceptions for Cam. He gets benched for another Auburn quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, and he's buns. I'm starting to think that Auburn quarterbacks aren't getting the best reputation in the NFL.
Everybody pretending Stidham was going to be some great quarterback always bothered me because we saw him at Auburn and he regressed and was not a good quarterback. He was not good at Auburn, or he's not great at Auburn. I mean, he was all right. He was a decent quarterback, but he was not a
Now,
great quarterback.
here's my question though. Here's my question. This is an interesting topic to discuss.
Uh-oh.
Is Jarrett Stidham's struggles in the NFL a result of Gus Malzahn not able to develop quarterbacks? If Jarrett Stidham was somewhere else, he would be the answer. If Jarrett Stidham stayed at Baylor, or if Jarrett Stidham stayed in the Big 12, which is good at offense, or if Jarrett Stidham even went to like Michigan State or Michigan or anything like that, if he stayed away from Auburn, would he develop into a better quarterback?
I don't know.
Would he be in a better situation right now?
As much blame as Gus deserves for a number of things. I mean, we all saw Stidham. It wasn't much a development thing as much as the fact that he, for some reason, thought he was Cam out there scrambling outside the pocket just to launch it into the third row every other game. I mean,
But if he was given a better offensive line, a better offensive game plan, he might not have had to do that.
maybe. I don't
Like,
know.
how much of that is on Stidham? How much of that is on the offensive philosophy at Auburn? Because I mean, guys, let's sit here and name off all the quarterbacks that Auburn's had since Gus has been there: Sean White, Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix, Jeremy Johnson, John Franklin. None of them has worked out for a team that's had playoff aspirations. It's kind of crazy that each year, Auburn has had playoff aspirations. They've been a consistent top 10, top 15 team. And these quarterbacks just, I don't know, fizzle out so quickly. And don't get me wrong, I know Alabama has a streak of that too, right? Because who remembers, AJ McCarron, perennial backup? Or who remembers, God, what's his name?
Joker.
Coker, who I believe is still at Arizona. I'm trying to think of Blake Sims, right? Like nobody remembers Alabama quarterbacks. It's been just the past couple of years where you have Tua and Mac Jones who look really, really good, right? Alabama was the star at having quarterbacks that won national championships, but they were game managers, so they never worked out in the NFL. Auburn's hasn't had that had the success. The only successful quarterback out of Auburn in the last 20 years is Cam Newton. That's it. I mean, no. I'll take that back. I'm sorry. I forgot about him. Jason Campbell. I'm so sorry about that. Jason Campbell's pretty successful in my book. It's easy to forget about Jason Campbell because that was like early 2000s, but Jason Campbell as well. So Auburn's had two. But other than that, man, I don't know. But either way, no matter what happens, that means, guess what? The Patriots suck. That always makes Jared happy. Screw the Patriots. And then Jaguars losing to the Chargers 39-29. There's been rumors that Gardner Minshew may be benched because of how bad the Jaguars are doing. They're 1-6. They're not doing great. So Minshew mania may be short-lived, as we have Texans Jaguars this week. Both of these 1-6 teams, they'll be facing off.
The Jags are just not a good enough team. Minshew should not be benched. He's not the issue.
I mean, what is the issue? Other than Doug Marrone. He's the head coach, right? I did get
I
that
have no
correct.
idea.
I believe he is.
they're just-
We'll roll with it. It might as well be Doug Marrone.
They really don't have a good defense, really. Like, they traded all the defensive players, and now they give up 30 every game. They've given up 30 every game except the one against the Colts. Colts.
But we don't talk about that.
They've been in a number of games because of their offense. I mean, Minshew is not the sole issue. I would say he's not playing great, but again, look at his weapons. It's DJ Chark, Chris Conley, James O'Shaughnessy, and Laviska Shenault Jr. I mean, Those are not, wow, high quality weapons for a
Wait,
team. Same thing.
is D.D. Westbrook not on that team anymore?
What?
D.D.
D.D.
Westbrook just tore his ACL.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, he
Out
doesn't
for
have a
the
lot of
season.
weapons.
that'll do it.
But that this past week he did that.
Yeah. I think a
Oh,
week before maybe, but he's out. Yeah.
dang. Sorry to hear that about
They
D.D.
don't have enough weapons, and it's same thing for Washington. Same thing for a lot of teams. Like it wasn't Dwayne Haskins' fault that they were not good. Their weapons are Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas, who's a former quarterback. So I don't really know. Same thing applies.
Scary
But
Terry.
Logan Thomas
Cardinals.
popped off this week though.
That's
who?
true.
Logan Thomas.
No, Logan Thomas has gotten a lot better. That's true. But still, it's still. Even then, those are still their two best weapons, and it's not much else after that.
Cardinals overtime winning at the Seahawks 37-34. Russell Wilson. It seemed like he short circuited the last 15 minutes of that game, but
Definitely the worst game of the year.
he still threw for 388, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But he knows he could have played better, but it's all right. Tyler Lockett. Let's start with Tyler Lockett. 15 receptions, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. If you have Tyler Lockett on your fantasy team, good job on winning that game this past week. Did you play against Tyler Lockett, Davis?
No, I played against Devontae Adams. And that's the reason I lost. Lost by 4 points.
Hey, it's better than losing by
Adams
1
got
point.
196 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jeez.
And then the Rams 24-10 win over the Bears. The highlight of the week: DK Metcalf running down a man and scaring everybody. That's a bad dude.
He sprinted 90 yards to make that tackle.
Hey, I want DK Metcalf on my side for when the apocalypse happens.
I mean, let's just that draft class. I mean, really, people are just. Let's just say the scouting reports on a lot of those receivers was horrendous. 'Cause, I mean, who are the two best receivers to come out of that class?
What year is this?
That's 2018, isn't it?
I believe.
Or wait, no, it's 2019 because they were rookies last year.
Sure. I get my years mixed up.
I'm going to look at.
I always feel like DK was going to be the best one out of that draft anyway, because maybe it's just me, but I have an affinity for big wide receivers that are just muscular. You know what I'm saying? I know they're not fast, they're not flashy, but they're dangerous. I always get possession wide receivers when I draft in Madden.
I mean, you've got all right. Let's
They
see.
get fast. Ooh.
First guy drafted: Marquise Brown, N'Keal Harry, Debo Samuel, AJ Brown, Mecole Hardman, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Paris Campbell, Andy Isabel, and then DK Metcalf.
All right, yeah, there's a lot of misses on there.
Terry McLaurin was drafted as the what appears to be 12th or 13th wide receiver in that draft. He has the most yards of any receiver in this draft. So there's that. He also has the most catches of any receiver in that draft. But he's drafted 76th. I mean, Miles Boykin drafted 93rd. He's better than a lot of guys, I think, in that draft. Especially, I mean, look, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Paris Campbell were 2 misses.
Don't talk about Paris Campbell like that. He's still hurt.
You've got Hakeem Butler and Gary Jennings Jr., who both have no catches. Then you've got
They may have opted out or something.
Slayton and Hunter Renfrow in the fifth round.
Darius
Those guys
Slayton.
have been a lot better. I mean, really, this is a draft class which just misses overall, starting with Metcalf, who people for some reason thought was not going to be good. Andy Isabel as well, also not a good pick. I mean,
I didn't think he'd be this good. I thought he would be good. I didn't think he would be, scary good. 'Cause he's scary.
I mean, the simple fact is you give Terry McLaurin a quarterback, and he probably beats everybody out by 200 yards minimum, but, he's only dealing with so little, so he's only beating
Biased.
by about 80. What?
Nothing.
What?
You say you're
Didn't say anything,
biased.
I coughed.
Yeah, you say
I mean,
you're
I'm not biased. I've watched it and therefore realized that he's the best receiver in that class, but whatever. It's not
But a
biased.
Seahawks fan can watch DK Metcalf
Wait,
and say the same thing about DK.
Hold on. Did you say that Terry McLaurin's the best wide receiver out of that class with DK Metcalf?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's
Alex,
saying.
you need to stop.
Nope.
You need to stop. No.
You realize a Seahawks
Alex,
fan can watch DK and say the same
Alex,
exact
do
thing
not,
about him.
Alex, do not die on this hill. I promise you, please do not die on this hill.
He's
I will
been
not
dying on. He said he's going to be a top 10 receiver in like 2 years.
I mean,
Alex,
he already is, but
please.
that's beside the point.
Alex, please don't say that. No. Alex.
What?
We got to drop the kayfabe for a second. I don't want
Okay,
I don't want you to get canceled on Twitter like somebody else that we know. Don't
First
do
of
this to me.
all, let's not act like this is the craziest thing on the planet. If he's not the best receiver in that draft class, he's a very close second in that draft class anyway.
Okay, he's second, but it ain't close.
Really, it's not close. And why is it not close, Jared? Because DK Metcalf just looks like he's a better receiver? Because he doesn't beat him in any statistical category, so I'm really wondering, except touchdowns. But I'm really
DK
wondering,
Metcalf.
Oh, except touchdowns. There he goes.
DK Metcalf.
You get yards all you want. It doesn't matter if you're not helping win games.
DK Metcalf has.
Russell Wilson as his quarterback. That's true. He does.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. That's a big part of it, right?
yeah.
If Terry McLaurin had Russell Wilson, I don't know what Terry McLaurin looks like right now, but
He'd be a little bit worse. Tyler Lockett is what he'd be. That's what he'd be.
I am in awe of this.
hey, a little
So
bit
you
worse.
know.
Taylor Lockett is like 10 receptions for like 150 yards. So.
See, that's good, but he's not the best in the draft class because DK is better because he's more versatile
More versatile. He runs the go route.
and he can freaking mosh you too if you need him to.
He's not. He's a big receiver. Not.
I
scared
can
to go
probably
over the
bench more than
middle.
Terry McLaurin. He's a little skinny dude.
Oh my
DK Metcalf could like break me in half with his hands.
Yes, and
Where's
that
Like just
Mine.
Bane Batman over the knee. He
Hey,
could do
okay,
that.
so Sean Oakman could break everybody in half, but that means that Sean
I'm
Oakman,
not. That's not the argument I'm making.
but that's what you
I'm
said.
talking about jump balls, brother.
Brother,
Okay.
jump ball.
I'm not saying he's better because he's stronger. I'm just saying he's better at jump balls because he's bigger and stronger. But also, he's also very fast, good hands. I don't think DK's that amazing, but I think he's still better than Terry. And I drafted Terry on my fantasy team.
I think
I
I think
disagree.
DK's amazing.
Now look, the reason I disagree
DK.
is simply this.
All that yelling got my nose cleared, so thank you.
The reason I disagree with that is because of this, because of the fact
Because you're a
that
Washington fan.
no, the fact that Terry has done all that he's done, despite the fact that he's been in the worst offense in the NFL for the last 2 years, with the worst quarterback.
All right. Let's calm down. We just talked about how the Jets had 4 yards of total offense in the second half. I think he's on a better offense.
Maybe he is
Jamison
now.
Crowder's been popping. Jamison Crowder's like the only receiver to have 100 yards every single week. So is he
Okay.
top 10 this year?
What?
Jamison Crowder has been one of the only receivers to have 100 yards every single week. So
Jamison
is he
Crowder's also the
top
only
10 this year because of that?
Let's throw the ball too, but that's beside the point.
He has Braxton Berrios, who's his number one target, and Jamison Crowder still gets more yards.
Davis, so Jameson Crowder had 100 yards this past week?
Before that, Alex. But my point still stands. Don't try to get all ticky-tacky with one statistical week.
Or
How many yards-
the week before when he had 36 yards?
How many yards do you have total this year?
Let's see. Why don't we look? Jameson Crowder. Ooh, he has 383.
Okay, maybe that was a wrong stat. But,
Wow.
Alex, don't clap like you're made some revelation that I made a mistake. But the thing
Yeah.
is, Terry McLaurin, he's not a top 10 receiver. He's not going to be top 10 receiver the next few years. DK Metcalf is better. He's not the best in the draft class. Stop saying that. You're biased.
I'm now biased.
If I said Robbie Anderson's a top 10 receiver right now, you'd call me biased, even though he's literally one of the leading receivers right now. So hop off my back.
I wouldn't say you were biased. I would have to look
Yes,
at
you would. Don't even.
before I have to see it. No,
Yes, you-
Davis, I've called you biased before, like when you said Kyle Allen was going to win the MVP, and last year when you said
That was a joke. That was an obvious joke.
You know, last year there was a time because I wrote it down on my phone. You on the show, I remember you said that the Panthers were going to make the Super Bowl with Cam. That's what you said. I'm not kidding.
I'm pretty sure that was probably a joke too, Alex. I'm not that big on Cam.
I don't know. I wrote it down, so it's
It was
there.
probably because you were like, Cam's the worst quarterback to ever come out of, to ever play, honestly. He can't throw downfield. He can't throw short. He can't hand it off.
Yes, I
Wait.
definitely said that, Davis.
You're
right.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you did.
I mean, Davis, you're the one that said Haskins was worse at Ohio State than Cardale Jones. So I mean, you know, if you really want to get into that, but
Alex, you know why Jamison Crowder only has 300 yards? He didn't play weeks 2 and 3.
okay, and he still
And
had
you
36
failed to
yards.
mention that.
What?
In his 3 games before last week, he had 100 yards in each of them and 2 touchdowns. So in those weeks, he each had 7 receptions and 8 receptions in the last one. So he's better than Terry McLaurin.
But he had 36 yards against the Dolphins.
And let's check Terry McLaurin's stats. How many bad games has he had?
I just want to point
I
out.
don't know because he's on my fantasy team.
hold
He's
on.
giving me a few stinkers.
I just want to point out. I'm looking. I finally looked up all the stats for all the wide receivers. By the way, DeAndre Hopkins leading the league in receiving yards. I never would have guessed, but there he is. But
Cardinals throw it a lot.
DK Metcalf is beating McLaurin in a lot of categories.
McLaurin has a 26-yard game, a 61-yard game, an 83-yard game, and a 74-yard game. Hop off my back.
What?
26 yards. He got me 5.6 points that week.
Guys, he has the worst quarterback group in the league. That's important to remember.
You were trying to talk about how Dwayne Haskins was so good the other week.
No.
He has Kyle Allen right now. MVP Kyle Allen.
You
MVP
really
Kyle
gonna
Allen.
misconstrued my entire argument from 2 weeks ago, Davis?
He's had 2 games over 100 yards this year. 2.
Okay.
Jameson Crowder's had 2 as well.
Look, I think the
Oh no, he's had 3. He's had 3. Jameson Crowder's better.
I think
rest
the-
my
I
case.
think
Davis, that's exactly what I said. Right. Yes. If somebody has 100-yard games, you're automatically superior.
the big takeaway
Guys,
from all
my
this.
point is this: if you swap DK Metcalf and McLaurin on the teams that they are on, one of them is by far better than the other.
Yeah,
But
DK.
So that was.
The thing is, we're not swapping them. They are
Yeah,
where
we're not.
they are where they're at. Sorry, that's just not how this thing works.
But
But the thing is, Alex, the thing is, you're acting like no. You're acting like McLaurin's not getting catches or something, but he's getting 7 catches a week. It looks like
He almost doubles
He's
the amount of
still
catches
only
that
getting under 100 yards.
He has like 25 more catches than DK has.
That's
which is
true,
good.
because Washington also doesn't throw the ball down the field
I mean,
Well-
that's fair.
for whatever inexplicable reason.
Like, look, here's the sad part, right? Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, and he puts up yards every single game. But it sucks that he's in Atlanta. If he was anywhere else, he'd be winning Super Bowls. That's just kind of how this game goes. Stafford's the same way. Good quarterback, love him. He ain't gonna win in Detroit. Phillip Rivers, great
Nobody-
quarterback.
Who?
Rivers. Phillip Rivers has been a good quarterback for a lot of his years. I know he's not been great the last couple of years, but that man should have had some Super Bowl rings by now.
I mean, I'm not sure if he should, but he should have gotten to maybe gotten to a Super Bowl. That I'll admit.
Terry McLaurin may be good, but he's at where he's at, and I'm not trading DK Metcalf for McLaurin. I'm sorry.
All right.
That's
fair.
But
You didn't have to act like it was the stupidest thing I've ever said because one, I
no, Alex, let's not get it twisted. It was
Actually,
the stupidest thing you said.
Jared. Before he changed it to top 10, last year he said in 2 years Terry McLaurin's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. And then once I pressed him on, he went, okay, maybe top 15, and then he changed it to top 10.
Look,
It's true, and he will say it's not possibly, but it is. He said top 5 in 2 years, so he has one more year to reach that top 5 mark. Or that's
We'll
a
see.
certified gold take.
Let's see what happens.
It won't.
it's not going to happen. I'm sorry.
He can get Tom Brady. He won't be top 10.
Unless he gets traded to an actual better team, that's not gonna.
That's true. That's exactly my point. But
That's not gonna happen.
whatever, yo.
Just never say that Terry McLaurin's better than DK Metcalf ever again. That was just bad. That was just no sane person thinks that.
I mean, some people do think that, but the argument of whether or not they're
I
sane,
said
guess.
sane people.
No, yeah. Look, I'm gonna stick with it, and I mean, either I'll be right or I'll be wrong, but we'll see.
You're wrong. Yeah,
If he's so good, why isn't he breaking out more touchdowns or more yards when he's getting 7 receptions a game?
Because Davis, they do not throw the ball down.
But
the
if he's
field.
so good, he catches a slant, he breaks out. If he's this revelation top 5 wide receiver, he should be able to do that, Alex. That's all I'm saying. DK can.
Oh my God, you're an idiot.
Alex, you said he's better than DK. I'm gonna freaking go with stupid arguments right back at you.
You're just no. Okay, that is so stupid. You're gonna be like, okay, Alex, you said something stupid, so I'm just gonna say a bunch of idiotic and moronic things back.
Is it that idiotic to say that if he's so amazing, top 5, as you said in 2 years, top 5, don't forget there's Julio, there's DeAndre Hopkins. I can keep naming them. Top 5. Terry McLaurin's going to be on there, you're saying.
No, but your point
He
is
can't
that
break out.
therefore,
He can't run. He has 56 yards, 7 receptions. He's averaging under 100 yards.
he's averaging 84 yards a game.
Under 100.
Okay,
Did I
still,
lie?
yeah. But Davis, okay, that entire argument does not make sense. Why doesn't he have 20 touchdowns? Because you can't take every slant to the end
That's
zone.
not what I'm saying. I'm saying if he's so amazing, top 5, why can't he get more yards just on his own ability?
Hey, if Julio's so amazing, why doesn't he score more touchdowns?
He gets more yards on his own ability.
Because Calvin Ridley's taking off his touchdowns.
And in this case, it's the opposite.
Hey, I'll say
But I
this.
thought Terry McLaurin was their number 1 target. What are you talking about? Come on,
He
bro.
is the number 1 target, and
Then why isn't he breaking out for more yards? He's getting under 100 yards a game.
Calvin Ridley's had a good
Keep saying
season.
50, Davis. Keep saying 50, even though that's not the number.
Under 100
Said
is
50.
what I just said.
You said 50 first.
Because he had one game where he had 56 yards.
Oh my goodness. I mean, Davis, the simple fact of it all is that if you actually watch the games a bit,
I
you
do
know-
watch them, Alex. You're
You
talking about
understand-
watching games when you comment on games you haven't watched, and then Jacob and Garrett get on your butt
you would
about it.
understand a variety of things, including the fact that he is their only consistent or decent offensive threat in the wide receiving group. This week they had 3 active wide receivers. 2 of them were undrafted, and the other one was him. So how exactly is he supposed to just automatically destroy defenses when he's the only person they could pay attention to? He is the only threat on that team that the defense should pay any attention to. Not to mention the fact the offense does not throw the ball down the field. And it's not because he's not open. It's because of the fact that they lack quarterback play to do it, and they don't call plays down the field.
If he's top 5, why isn't he doing it then? I'm just saying, if you're talking about he's going to be top 5, he's not really showing it. 7 receptions, 90 yards, 1 touchdown. 7 receptions, 74 yards, 0 touchdowns. 3 receptions, 26 yards. 10 receptions, 118 yards, probably his best game. I know 7 receptions, 125 yards is his best game. But then he had 4 receptions, 83 yards, 5 receptions, 61 yards. Doesn't sound top 5, doesn't sound top
It's
10,
like an
doesn't sound top 15.
infomercial happening right now.
Davis, the offense does. He can't just.
I don't care what the offense does or doesn't.
I just told
He's
you.
he's getting the catches, but he's not getting the yards.
Davis, if they throw a 5-yard slant every play, what do you expect him to do?
Break out. You ever heard of a run after catch?
He leads the league in yards after catch. Actually. Or he led it before this past week. He may not still lead it, but he led it before this past week as far as I know.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara leads the league in yards after catch.
Well, in that case, then Kamara just took it from him. But before this past week, he led the league in yards after catch.
It goes Alvin Kamara with 432, McLaurin at 291, and hey, it's Robbie Anderson at 276.
Robbie Anderson's better than Terry McLaurin.
Oh, and then what? Mike Davis for Carolina at
Davis,
273.
if he's second in the league in yards after catch, aside from a running back who takes screens and slant passes, then you're right. He should have 700 yards after catch.
He
because
should,
clearly
yeah. But he
he's not
doesn't.
doing enough. You're just, I mean, it's your right to sound stupid. I'm just going to make sure you know.
Alex, you are dying on the hill that Terry McLaurin's better than DK Metcalf and will be top 5 in 2 years.
Davis, all of the arguments you've made, except for maybe 2 of them, have been terrible. Including
I've only
the
made
fact
3
that
arguments.
you
Only made 3.
Oh, well, apparently he doesn't break out enough of his routes, so therefore he's not good.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if he's so amazing like you're saying, why isn't he doing more just on his own merit? A good wide receiver can do good with a bad quarterback. I'll say it.
Not with these quarterbacks, and not with this offense. An
Oh no, I
offense
just
doesn't take shots down the field.
I just saw
They
Ben DiNucci take the field for the Cowboys, so it's whatever at this point.
No, yeah, I mean, no. It's the okay. Let's just take a second. Give me 1 second to look at something. I just want to check a stat before I say this because I want to make sure that I'm correct on this. Okay, so I think we'd all agree that CeeDee Lamb has been great, right?
Yeah, he's been good.
I think he's been really good for
There he is.
Maybe, I can't remember the rookies in that class, but would he be the best receiver in that class?
This
With
is
Jerry Jeudy and all them in there too?
I can't remember who was all in it. It may have been Judy, so maybe he's the second best receiver in that class. Maybe I don't remember who was in that class, so I don't want to say something like that because I cannot.
He's definitely cream of the crop.
So I mean, this past Sunday, CeeDee Lamb has no catches. So is CeeDee Lamb therefore bad because of the fact that he's not making do with his awful quarterbacks? of Andy
Well,
Dalton. And he's
I think the
7
difference
No,
is
because Terry McLaurin's getting 7 receptions a game. That's not the same thing.
I think the difference is I'm not saying that CD Lamb is better than DK Metcalf.
Yes,
I
and
think
also
that's
be top 5 in 2 years. So
I think that's my thing.
Whatever.
I mean, fair, right? Like a wide receiver can be good, but I don't have to compare him to one of the most monstrous wide receivers that come out of the draft class in recent memory.
I mean, I tried.
if you're starting a team right now and you have Terry McLaurin and DK Metcalf to draft for your wide receiver, you take Terry McLaurin?
I'm taking decaf. Decaf. You know, I'm calling him decaf from now on. It
I
just
know who
works.
you're taking. I'm asking Alex because I want to know if he's really that biased.
Well, I'd say a number of things. Depends on the rest of the team I have. And I'd say
Oh
that
my
I'm-
God! Just choose the wide receiver based on who's better. Not well. If I have this certain offensive coordinator and this quarterback, I'd want to choose this person. I don't care. Who do you think's better? Choose him right now.
Here's
Right
my
now,
thing.
I'd probably take DK, but it's tough to say.
But my thing is, how many wide receivers are like DK right now? Big, explosive, monstrous, fast. There's not many of them.
That's true, but he also doesn't do
How
much.
many wide receivers are like Terry McLaurin? He's the standard
lots.
wide receiver. DK is one of few. Terry, who is good, don't get me wrong, is one of many.
Thank you. I'm not saying Terry's bad either. I obviously drafted him for a
Oh, you
reason.
have,
But he's
Davis.
not this
You
end all
have.
be all.
You've said a number of things saying he's bad.
No, I'm saying he's good, but he's not top 5, top 10 like you're trying to say. He's good. I like Terry McLaurin. I drafted him for a reason. But he is not as amazing as you say.
I mean, he is.
Put him on another team, he's just going to be an A.J. Brown.
Well, no, because he leads AJ Brown in all of his stats.
Oh, my God.
I think
I'm not comparing their stats. He'll just be another Robbie Anderson.
There we go.
I mean, I think he'd be better.
Good Lord. I'm not trying to compare him and A.J. Brown's stats. I'm going to say he's having a role on that team like A.J. Brown has. That's the first one that came to my head because he mentioned it earlier.
Point being, DK is one of few. Terry is one of many. I got to take the
Yes.
few. You're not going to find wide receivers like DK.
Terry McLaurin ain't scoring 52 points in fantasy for me. Tyler Lockett is. I don't have him, though.
So did you lose to Tyler Lockett?
No, I didn't play him. Played
Yeah.
Devontae Adams.
And I'm gonna call it right now. You're gonna start seeing a trend in the NFL where big receivers like DK will start getting drafted more, and that plays to the advantage of wide receivers like Auburn's Seth Williams, who's one of the tallest wide receivers in the upcoming draft. Looking at second, third round pick, maybe even first if he keeps playing well.
Jared, you talk about that trend. That trend's already a thing. The DK Metcalf has not invented some sort of brand new thing. There's been a big body receiver thing. Since
No. It's the difference between big body receiver like Calvin Johnson, Andre Johnson, and big body receivers who's also insanely fast.
Yes, this is a new prototype. This is a
Calvin
brand new.
Calvin
thing.
Johnson is fast, yes, but he's not going down the field on a go route. He's going on a 50-50 ball. That's the difference.
Like, name me another wide receiver in the NFL right now that's like DK.
You could say young Julio, but Julio's not really doing that as much anymore.
There's not many. There's not many.
DeAndre, not as much, but still big like that.
The only other prototype is Calvin Johnson. He retired. I mean, Calvin Johnson was as fast as him and just as tall as him. So,
And I'm
They
telling
didn't
you,
use them the same way.
watch in a couple of years when more wide receivers like DK, who are 6'3", 6'4", they look really big, but God help you if you get in front of them because they will run you down. It's like a mixture of a fast wide receiver and Derrick Henry. It's like a Derrick Henry fusion. You don't want to get in the middle of that. You're going to start seeing a lot of those wide receivers.
Jared, I don't
Don't want.
because the thing is that there are big body receivers in the NFL, just nothing like him because
Exactly, and you're going to start seeing more of
you won't
wide
because
receivers
he's a
like
freak of
him.
Nature. You won't see guys like remember that picture of him and I think it was AJ Brown
Yes.
lifting weights for Ole Miss for that season. Remember that? You'll see
Mm-hmm.
guys that are 6'4", 6'5". You already see him. Miles Boykin is 6'3.5", I think. The fact is that I mean you're gonna see guys try and be that. Like you mentioned Seth, but Seth is nothing like DK Metcalf. Seth is not nearly as large as him. He's not nearly as fast as him.
And that can easily change with a strict regimen.
I mean, It could, but I
think what Jared's trying to say is that teams are going to be willing to take more risk on those players.
Yes.
Besides just the short,
You're
fast one. Like
going to
Terry
start seeing
McLaurin.
college teams recruiting guys like this. You're going to see college teams mimicking, trying to build somebody like a DK Metcalf. That these wide receivers, instead of focusing on speed, will focus on strength while trying to keep up with their standard speed. And when they get to NFL, they'll grow on that.
The thing is, it's not going to work.
Why wouldn't it work?
The matter
He's
is
working with DK right now.
No, you're not listening. The fact of the matter is that with guys like DK, if you put on that amount of weight, you're not supposed to be that fast. That's why everybody's freaking out about it. That's why everybody's freaking out about Calvin Johnson.
To be fair, if you tear your ACL, you're not supposed to come back in 6 months. However, Auburn and Georgia's medical teams have come together and they figured that stuff out pretty quickly. I had to come back from ACL tears fairly quick. Medical science is actually an amazing thing to learn about.
I know.
And these NFL teams are hiring these top-notch nutritionists, strength and conditioning coaches. Yeah.
Except for the Chargers.
But these NFL teams and college teams are hiring these top-notch nutritionists, physical specialists, all this to build these wide receivers.
But yeah, if you bulk up, it's logically would slow you down. But if you also get more lean, you bulk up your legs too, you'll be able to keep that speed up at like a linear rate if you do it correctly, like DK did. He's also
representation. Thank you.
But DK, obviously, super athlete, I guess, or not super athlete, very athletic. But
Yes.
a lot of kids nowadays are getting more athletic. I feel like.
Let me give you an example. Okay, so we all know Giannis in the NBA, right?
Yes.
His name is the Greek Freak because of that. There's nobody like him that size that plays like that. And we know that years have gone by and people have come through the draft that are around his size that are supposed to be the same thing, and they haven't. So my point being that it's very much just a genetic mixture rather than you can take that copy and apply it to somebody else.
That's different, though. That's
I don't
different.
think he's saying they're taking the copy. They're going to try to get those big, strong, fast guys.
Because here's my thing.
Because you can bulk them up, but you can keep them fast if you do it the right way.
How tall is Giannis?
He's
Giannis is
6'10".
6'11"?
Yes.
How tall is DK?
6'4".
DK is a little bit above average NFL height of wide receivers, which I believe is like 6'1", 6'2".
Probably.
So the span between Giannis and the rest of the guys under him and DK and the rest of the guys under him is so much smaller.
Look, I have an example. In the NFL in the past, it was either you're short and you're fast, or you're tall and you're strong. There's no in between, and DK is starting to blur that line, is what Jared's trying to say, I believe.
Yes.
So they're going to break the archetype of you're strong, you're big, so you have to get 50-50 balls and be strong. Calvin Johnson was kind of before that, and so was Julio Jones, but DK is kind of a little bit smaller than them, of course. He's 6'4". They're like 6'6" each, respectively.
It's kind of like how the NFL went from big pocket passing quarterbacks to the small, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray's, Baker Mayfield's of the world. And then Cam was the weird one where he was big, but he could still run. And Cam was the hybrid, which worked for 8 to 10 years before he started getting hurt,
So instead of making it only you're tall so you're slow or you're short so you're fast, they're gonna start trying to mix those. They're gonna start trying to find players to mix those and be more versatile.
We're on two very different sides of this, but all right. Like, I feel like this is an overrating of his impact on the league when this has been a thing that's been going on for a long time.
I don't think it's solely DK. I just said Calvin Johnson and Julio Jones as well, but DK's a little bit shorter, and everybody went crazy about how
he's actually shorter than DK Metcalf.
Is he 6'3"?
Yeah, actually.
I thought he was taller.
That's scary. That's actually
kind of
scary.
And that's the thing is, my point is that, okay, like, everybody freaks out about DK getting dropped in the draft, but the simple fact is DK is Julio or Calvin. It's just the fact that he can't run routes, which was his issue coming out of college, and he still doesn't really do it. And the same thing applies. This is not so much we've discovered that large dudes are good at being receivers. That's been known since Randy Moss in the 90s destroyed everybody and had 3 catches for 184 yards and 3 touchdowns.
It wasn't that large dudes could be wide receivers. It's that smaller, faster guys were a lot more sexy for the last, 5 to 7 years.
Yes.
I just don't think it was.
Antonio Brown was probably arguably the biggest and hottest commodity of wide receiver.
I really don't see that at all, because I see Calvin Johnson going top 3 in the draft out of Georgia Tech. I see Julio going top 5 in the draft. I see
DK. Those are 3 wide receivers in the last 10 years.
What?
And then DK. Those are 3 wide receivers in the last 10 years that are big.
Look at all the wide receivers in the first round. Those are the outliers.
We just listed off all these wide receivers taken before DK and Terry, and look how small they are. They're on the smaller side.
I mean, they're all on the relatively smaller side. But again, this is not – it wasn't DK's big, which means he won't be good. It was a simple fact that he doesn't – it's not –
What we're saying is – you were saying how you don't see how smaller wide receivers were a trend. You saw all the wide receivers taken before DK and Terry. They're smaller. They're faster.
Guys, it was not about the fact that DK was big and therefore we don't want big wide receivers. It's the fact that he literally couldn't run routes.
But you're saying I don't see the trend that they weren't taking big body wide receivers, but then we listed off a draft class where they didn't take big body wide receivers. They took the small guys that were fast.
They've taken big body wide receivers in the past. I'm saying that DK was not hands off because he was big. He was hands off because he lacked the skill set.
Okay, but I'm not talking about DK anymore. I'm talking about the trend. And I'm saying the trend was small, fast wide receivers were the trend. That was established for the last couple of draft classes that we listed off. Forget about DK. The first 5 to 10 wide receivers taken were on the smaller side, right? Am I right in saying that? They were mostly on the smaller side. If you go back to every single draft class the last 5 years,
I'll name them all.
I'm going to guarantee.
You want me to name some of them?
Yes.
Marquise Brown last year. So N'Keal Harry, DJ Moore before that, Calvin Ridley, Corey Davis, Mike Williams. That's one big one. John Ross, Corey Coleman, Will Ferrell, Josh Dotson, Laquan Treadwell, Amari Cooper, Kevin White, Devontae
Laquan Treadwell, rest in peace.
Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Perryman, Philip Dorsett, Sammy Watkins. Do you count Sammy Watkins as a big one?
I wasn't saying him.
Mike Evans. There's 2.
N'Keal Harry's 6'4".
Okay, excuse me, 3. I didn't know his height off the top of my head.
Go back through some of those names.
Okay. Marquise Brown, N'Keal Harry, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Corey Davis, Mike Williams, John Ross, Corey Coleman, Will Ferrell, Josh Dotson, Laquan Treadwell, Amari Cooper, Kevin White, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Perryman, Philip Dorsett, Sammy Watkins. Don't just count tall ones, count how they're used. Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans, Odell Beckham, Brandon Cooks, Kelvin Benjamin, Tavon Austin, DeAndre Hopkins, Cordell Patterson, Justin Blackmon, Michael Floyd, Kendall Wright, AJ Jenkins, AJ Green, Julio Jones, Jonathan Baldwin, Demarius Thomas, Des Bryant, Darius Hayward Bay, Michael Crabtree, Jeremy Macklin, Percy Harvest, Nakeem Hicks, Kenny Britt, Calvin Johnson.
All right, we got it.
Okay, so about roughly half of those guys are 6'2" and above. Maybe a little less.
How many of them are like DK Metcalf?
Half of them aren't. Kelvin Benjamin.
Half of them aren't even in the damn league anymore, it feels like.
Alex, we're not talking about just height here, brother.
We're on 2 very different sides of this, and I think we both just don't understand each other, and that's why.
No, we understand you.
No, I don't think you do. I don't think you do at all.
No, you're saying that they've had tall wide receivers throughout the history of the NFL, but we're saying is that recently it's been of a hybrid between height and speed. And it's been really heightened with DK Metcalf in the new social media area, and everybody's really seeing him, and they're going, hey, maybe we should start drafting more kids like that.
We literally started this conversation talking about how DK hawked down a dude from 90 yards because of his speed.
We did, didn't we?
What's the other wide receivers on the Seahawks, Alex? Tyler Lockett, small, fast.
Okay.
200 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I can't remember, actually.
Hey, Greg Olson, shout out.
They used to have Doug Baldwin, smaller, fast.
Did he retire?
Yes.
Probably.
Oh, yeah, he did. Rest in peace, Doug Baldwin.
I can't even name it. What are their? I don't even know their other wide receivers.
Let's see. You got David Moore. You've got let's see. You got that's a tight end. Hey, by the way, Davis. So I mean, DK Metcalf had only 23 yards last night. So that's. I mean,
he almost had a game-winning touchdown too until they took it away from him.
I see he didn't have one, but go off, I guess.
I mean, he didn't. I said they took it away from him.
But he didn't get 7 receptions for that.
You're right. He got
4.
2, which
he got 2. That's some good yards after catch right there.
You pointed out that game.
Are we really gonna take one game and say? Whatever. Are we really gonna take one game and say DK Metcalf isn't still a freak of nature?
No. That's not my point. That's not my point at all. But anyway, I just think I really think that you were like, hey, these big guys don't count because they're not fast. There's nobody like DK Metcalf, really. There isn't.
We're not saying there's nobody like him. I'm not saying that, at least Jared might. But people look at him and go, hey, he's this kind of lesser seen archetype, super fast, very strong, also pretty tall, that we should maybe start looking for more instead of the short, fast ones like Terry McLaurin, Tyler Lockett, Antonio Brown.
Yes.
Because how many tall, fast, strong wide receivers are there in the NFL right now? Really? Like ones that you really want on your team.
There's not many.
Name
I
them.
can name you tall ones, but I don't know how. I can't imagine they're faster than DK Metcalf.
I mean, nobody's faster than we've established that.
Exactly.
I mean, Chase Claypool did pretty good. He's a big receiver. He is.
But he's not
Take
bulky.
him
He's not
over
as
anybody.
bulky. He's skinny. The point is they're going to get these tall guys that also have speed, and they're going to try to bulk them up is what they might try to do. That is what we're saying.
I just don't think it'll work.
Well, that's your prerogative. But now maybe you can understand what we're trying to say this whole time.
I suppose I feel like that. I don't know. I really think he's an isolated case, and I'm not sure if he's a trend for the future, which is why I just.
But the thing is, there's other wide receivers like him in history. You said that yourself.
To be fair,
that's what I'm saying is that this has always been a thing. It's just the point is it's not so much you can't take the blueprint and apply it. It is very much a unique case by case.
I think you can because DK Metcalf applied it to himself. He bulked himself up and kept his speed. That's somewhat genetics, but you can keep that speed if you bulk up the right way.
I think it's very much a more genetics thing than a being able to apply the blueprint.
Well, there's a lot of freaking natures around nowadays.
To be fair, the same conversation was had about Russell Wilson and how short he was and how he wasn't going to succeed. And then now we have.
I knew he was going to be good.
Okay, but this is now. What? How many years has Russell Wilson been in the league? Like 7, 8 now.
8. This would be 8.
Right. When he first came out and then went to the NFL, people were saying how he's too short. He's not going to succeed. Right. And then now that Russell Wilson blueprint of short, mobile quarterbacks, insanely accurate, has been applied to other quarterbacks that we now see years later.
Whether they work or not isn't the question. It's that it's been applied. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. Drew Brees was before Russell Wilson, but he was probably one of the first archetypes of it.
Well, he was, in fact, the first, yeah.
And now we have guys like Tua, right?
And then you can say the big, like, the comeback of the big, strong wide receiver or a running back like Derrick Henry. That's starting a trend. I feel like it's going to start a trend that they're going to try to get those big, bulky, fast ones so they can run through.
I think we saw the NFL go to a heavy offensive set, and they started like speed. So you saw a lot of speed players, and now you're starting to see a nice shift back to a mixture of speed and strength. Because Derrick Henry's still insanely fast.
Yes.
That's the thing is, like, you don't get guys like Derrick Henry every day. You don't.
But they're going to start looking for him more. They're not just going to settle.
Yeah, they'll go get the kid out of Compton who they can build to be that.
You can get the fast guy that's tall, and you can also bulk him up. It's a
know.
possibility. It's just because you bulk up doesn't automatically make you slow.
I know, but okay. All right.
Look, we'll end the show on a high note, and I'll end it with this question.
Uh-oh.
For $100,000, would you go into an Oklahoma drill against Derrick Henry? You have 3 chances to tackle him. If you don't tackle him, you don't get the money.
Oh, the notes. I'm not going to freaking tackle him. Let's grab onto his feet and hold on for dear life.
Okay, here's this. You can opt out after the first time. You can opt out after try 1 and try 2.
Guys, let's be clear on something.
What?
I mean, you get paid $100,000. I mean, if you really want to make that tackle, you can just go helmet first to his kneecap, and he'll make the tackle. That's awful.
Dirty, man. I wouldn't give you the money for that. That's dirty.
No, that's awful. But I'm just saying you could make the tackle. That's awful.
I don't know. I feel like Derrick Henry's knee would obliterate somebody.
Yeah, I feel like he'd end up being
Shatter
okay.
the helmet.
The trick is you gotta wrap his legs. You just gotta grab onto his feet, and even then, there's probably a little chance of that.
I think like all of his greatness, people go high on him sometimes, and then it's why would Josh Norman be like not go low? Why?
Because you go for his thighs, he knocks you out, and he just boom, you're dead.
Yeah, but instead,
big old chicken thighs.
This is his thigh.
Bro.
This is your head. Boom, you're out for the count.
By the way, Davis, can I ask you a question?
What?
Oh no.
So, it was an issue. You said that Terry averaged under 100 yards a game, right?
I
Yeah, I'm
tried
gonna
to
say
get
the
away
same thing
from
for
it.
DK. We don't care. We moved on.
I tried to get away from it.
We already made the point that he is like every other wide receiver.
You made it such an issue that it was under 100 yards. I was just curious if the same applied, but it clearly
No,
doesn't.
I wasn't comparing him to DK. I'm just saying in 10 years. I'm not saying DK is going to be top 10 in 2 years or top 5 in 2 years.
But you were like, oh, he's under 100 yards. That's not good enough. All right. I'm just curious.
Like I said, I wasn't saying DK is going to be top 5 in 2 years like you were about Terry. Answer the question about Derrick Henry, Alex. Stop trying to go back.
I mean, I'd try it. Why not?
Alex, I trucked you freshman year. You're definitely not getting.
There's history
Davis,
here.
We were not wearing shoulder pads, and I was not expecting contact. It was two-hand touch.
So you wearing shoulder pads against Derrick Henry is going to change anything?
Well, I mean, you have a different expectation when it's two-hand touch versus actual tackle football.
No, we were playing tackle that day. We were playing tackle. I got freaking rocked early in that day. Remember?
Do I hear a spontaneous extra point 2-hand touch All-Star game at Jack's place this Halloween?
Destroy y'all.
Yeah, Davis,
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Two bad ankles, but hey, he's gonna destroy us. Everybody, watch out.
I'm serious. I'm actually pretty good. So don't look out, y'all.
Davis will be top 10 touch football in the next 2 years. Everybody, watch out.
Hey,
watch it, man.
Terry.
I'll get 100 yards a game.
No, you won't.
Trust me, brother.
Hey, if you don't know, I'm a great field goal kicker. So
Let's go.
yeah,
Jared, I'll set you up for those extra points, brother.
hey, extra point. See, it all came right
Alex,
on back.
I'm not sure what he's gonna do, but he'll be there.
It
Alex
was-
is the Terry McLaurin. I'm the DK.
It was a couple of years ago that
we average the same yards per game. Nice.
it was a couple of
Except
years ago where
Damn, stuff up for that one.
it was a couple of years ago where I kicked that 50-yard field goal in jeans and boots.
Yes, sir.
And let's end on that now.
Okay, yeah, let's end on that note.
By the way.
Wait, Jared, would you try to tackle Derek?
Well, I'm bigger, so I would obviously fare a lot better than you guys would.
That's true. I'm a little
And
twig.
I played defense in high school. That doesn't translate at all to having to tackle Derrick Henry, but it gives me at least a little bit more experience than normal people does. So, yeah, I would say I would try it. It would hurt, but I already got the CTE, so might as well, right? But yes, no, I would try to tackle Derrick Henry. I mean, $100,000 on the line.
I mean, I'd try for $100,000, but I doubt.
I mean,
I'd
look.
succeed.
The hips don't lie. It's the center of gravity. Go for the hips. Got to get lower than them. Go for the thighs. Go for the. Wrap him up at the feet. Hope he trips. But no, I'm not going like straight up head on. Right?
That'd be idiotic.
Yeah. I play
You would just
smarter,
stiff
not
arm
harder. Yeah. I'm not trying to get thrown into the nether realm like Josh Norman, which I don't think I've seen him since. So. He could still be out there somewhere. I have no idea. But that does it for the show today. Thank you for joining us on the Extra Point for whatever the last 45 minutes was. I have no idea how long that was.
That was a good 40. I think it was a good 45 minutes of debate, everybody. I mean, come on.
I think...
Good TV.
No, don't get me wrong. I think it was good.
You just think I'm an idiot.
No, Alex. I like you a lot, okay? I don't want you to think... I don't want you to think that I think you're an idiot.
Well, Jared, I think you're an idiot, so
Flame him, Jared.
Nah, I'm good. Cause
He's taking the high road on you.
No matter what happens, there's still that graphic. Jared Dillard #1, Alex Houston #2. Sorry. And hopefully I'll beat you in the MLB Gauntlet when it ends tonight when the Dodgers win. Hopefully.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I
we'll
think
see.
Dodgers in 6. So it might be close, but
I also picked Dodgers in 6. So
in that case, I don't know.
then it comes down to all of those superlatives that I had you guys fill out, which were really good superlatives. They really made you think, you know.
I just clicked at random, so I don't know about that.
Oh, maybe I will beat you. I'm like next to last, so
So who do you? Never mind.
what?
You got a good chance against me.
I was gonna ask about one of the superlatives that we need in the show.
Oh wait, Jared, I'm ahead of you. Hold up, I better win.
I did say I was next to last.
I forgot.
Yeah, I'm
where you-
also right beside Jared with them. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
we're all 3 through 6. Oh.
Yeah, Alex, you're only 2 points ahead of me. That's nothing. That's one prop bet away from me
Yeah,
overtaking
if
you.
my MVP bet gets there, then I'm beating you.
take it for instance like this. I'm 6 points away from Jacob. If I get Game 6 tonight and he didn't pick Game 6, I'm right behind him by 1 point. Like that's how this thing works. It's a gauntlet.
Jack's at 12.
Well, he missed a week and that's his fault. That's why the star next to his number. But
yeah.
it does for extra point. We just hit 2 hours on recording. So
Nice.
is it nice? You know what? I'm going to call it right now. We're taking tomorrow off.
Woo!
Yeah, we're taking tomorrow off. I can't.
Jacob and Jack actually get up.
No, we'll just come back for Thursday and get ready for that. I'm starting to realize that you guys have a lot of things going on with school, so
Yes.
I'm trying to do the show still, be consistent, but give you guys breaks. That way, we're able to not get you to flunk out.
I was about to say, Jacob was up till apparently midnight doing a paper. Well past midnight
Yeah.
doing a paper.
We didn't do the show yesterday because Jacob's situation, but it is for extra point. Thank you, Davis and Alex, for joining me on the show. And it's always a pleasure, boys. So we'll be back Thursday. Thank you for watching Let's Extra Point here on WGL 911 and WEGLFM.com.